voted affirmatively for the proposed amendment. Okay. So the book can be changed, because I've heard over the years many proposed changes. We can touch on them as time allows, one by one. But right now we're not going to look at any proposed change other than to look at the procedure by which any change can happen. And without the procedure, no change can happen. So it's very important. Okay, so it's a simple procedure. Anyone with the proposed amendment, write it out. Now this is what I call then now the you have the executive branch of the government, you have the judiciary, what's the other one? Legislative. Thank you very much. Okay. So this now in the amendment is actually showing us the legislative side of the Constitution and how we the people in this Constitution actually is the legislative branch of the Constitution. It just told us. We can change it. But in order for us to change it, we in the majority have to endorse the change. And it tells us the procedure, right? That's the legislative part of it. And that's very nice to know that justice is there, you know, sweet justice, you know what I mean? All right. So then, anything that is like, say, as people from time to time like to say, outdated, and so on and so forth. Anything that is deemed in that regard outdated, not useful anymore, needs to be updated, rah. Okay, all that good talk is good. But do we know how to do it? And unless we know how to do it, all that good talk is in vain. All right? So we're just looking at the procedure, that's all. And the procedure is kind of simple, right? It's straightforward. Because government, and it has been designed by the people for the people, so why not be fully understandable to the people, right? So this book then now could be considered wine. A bottle of wine comes from tons of grapes that have been trampled underfoot, squeezed to whatever pulp, and then trash, discarded, so that that juice is eventually turned into fine wine. But what is fine wine other than a lot of grapes that have been condensed into a little bottle? Similarly, these words. Many words have been discarded to produce this fine wine. But believe me, the ideas have all been preserved. None has been discarded. Just unnecessary words, right? But what is left touches upon all that is needed for us to accomplish what it is we say we have to do, all right? So each mansion that receives this, mansion, organization, right? Individuals, they call them one away, but they don't join nothing, they're proud of it, right? But individuals are welcome, right? To get it. And then now, participate. Your individuality is preserved through democracy, but it will require that you, let us say then now, perform as a part of a team and learn the team ethic. It's very good and useful too in our personal lives, because usually what we learn in the team concept helps us in our personal life. A lot of the time, very rarely it's gonna hurt. I doubt it, right? So this book that belongs to Ethiopians, preserving a culture, a history, and language, alphabet, unique, you know, and it's recorded in the great books of the world, you know, so it's a very proud history that belongs to black people, right? It's just how we have been, let us say, estranged from it, divorced from it. torn away from it against our will. Some regard, some freely turn away from it. So that today, all this what I'm saying is strange. But like I say, the book itself is 71 years old this August. I am not 71 years old. So really, for me to be here saying this now on Dr. King's birthday in the year 2008 suggests that we are now into the grace period. And if no grace period existed, as they say, dog eat our supper. But because grace does exist, we still have time to correct all the abuses, right? So the endeavor is that this is the way to do it. This is a government respected at the highest levels of government. Now listen to this. It's called the Ethiopian World Federation. Okay. It's a constitution that was published in 1937. Some 10 years later, land was granted to it. Land in Ethiopia, land in Africa. Okay. Now, that was 1948. 60 years ago. So, 71 years ago, this book was published. 60 years ago, we the black people of the world were given land in Africa. But today, no one knows anything about it. Very few do. And even those who say they do, they are not sufficiently knowledgeable and experienced in these matters to correct the abuses. So, without even intending to do so, they become a part of the problem and not a part of the solution. And that's not good. So then, this book that we just looked at the procedure is for a reason. It's because we have something that's very precious to us, valuable to us, and if we don't know about it, it shall go to waste. And the tragedy or the sin of such an eventuality is the fact that black people in the majority are poor. Black people in the majority are economically deprived. So how can a poor, economically deprived people be given the opportunity to become economically self-reliant, independent, and all of that good stuff? Would you expect them to say no if they had all the information? I doubt it. But if they did not have the information, would you expect them to say yes? I doubt it. So that's where we are today. The information is true, but the people have no knowledge of it, right? But the marvelous thing about it is that those who do have the mechanism in modest numbers to correct abuses. And if you truly have faith that the law is just, then it can be accomplished in modest numbers that represent the whole race, Ethiopian race, black race, and that centralization of resources will benefit the human family eventually. But let's not rush into everything one time, okay? All right. But eventually, because one God make us all, and God never make no mistake. All right? So we go with that. So in the meantime, we black people called third world, ain't that something? Come from the richest continent in the world, we are told. And we possess genius to play above the rim, we are told. Yet we are the poorest people. So what's not adding up? Rich resources, talent and ability, yet poor. Something not adding up. All right?